Welcome to Brobench. In this video, we're going to take a look how to use the Role Manager module in Brobench. So this is a new module. It was introduced in version 4.9 and it is available as it is indicated here for enterprise and above editions. So any complex organization, will have a lot of roles that you have to manage to manage your record access. By nature, the role is very hierarchical in nature, and visualizing that, searching for role within hierarchy, or see how many users are assigned, what are all the users, is very complicated, and the Salesforce doesn't do a good job of having administrators having access to good tools to visualize that complexity. So that is where we think the Brobench can add value. So we are introducing this Role Manager module. Okay, so this module you can access by going to the modules, or the app menu, modules, and then select this Role Manager. When you go there, when you open this app, we show this particular, continuous reminder, not a warning, just a reminder that any changes to the role has implications for the sharing rule calculations. And then if you have a lot of roles and then a lot of records to calculate the sharing rules for, that can take a significant amount of time. So consider making these changes during off business hours or on the weekends, when the impact for the business is going to be less. We also have a link to Salesforce roles guidelines that gives you some tips and tricks how to effectively manage the role. Okay. So with that out of the way, so when you open the Role Manager for the first time, so we show this particular layout. So it has the toolbar for the roles, and then for the role themselves, and then we have a divider, and then on the right side we're going to show the assigned users for that particular role. We show all the internal roles only, so we don't show the partner roles or our customer portal roles, because this is what most of the time you would be managing, because partner roles, they are kind of auto-managed. So when you go there, it shows the hierarchy of the role sorted in alphabetical order. So at the root is a company role. So this is not actual role that exists in the org. So this is a role that we create virtually to represent the company, so that all other roles can report to it or hierarchy wise. So there is one root for you can work with. Okay. So we show additional fields. Most of the fields actually from the role object that you can visualize. So the two additional fields that Brobench introduces, I think that can add tremendous value. So the role users is actually the count of number of users assigned to this particular role. For example, we have one role that is currently assigned to COO, and then the two roles that are assigned to installation, the repair services, and for others it is 0. And then hierarchy users. So this is the roll up account of the number of users assigned to that particular role, as well as any of the subordinates. For example, in this case for the company, so we show that hierarchy users as 3. It means that within this particular hierarchy, company hierarchy, there are 3 users have been assigned. So because the company is at the top of the hierarchy, then this is the total number of users that are assigned is 3. So keep in mind, we count and use only the active users in the consideration for performance reasons. So it doesn't include the users which are assigned to that particular role, which are inactive. Okay. So that come from, for example, here, we have a 2 here assigned to 1. So this is 2. And then this is the parent of that, and then the total account is 2 because that is 0 plus 2 here, and then we have one other role here, and that added up to account. When you select a particular role, we show the list of users assigned to that particular role, not all the subordinates. For example, if I click on a company, obviously I don't see any roles here because none of the roles are assigned directly to that virtual role. However, if I click on the COO, you see that there is one user. And if you click on that repair services, there are 2 users which are assigned. So if there are inactive users assigned to that particular role, that wouldn't show up here. So if you want to see the inactive users, you can use a SOQL to query the data for that particular role. Okay. So once you have this role, there are a lot of things you can do with it. So for example, when you're exploring, you can of course collapse the whole tree and then expand it. Let's say if you want to explore only one particular part of the tree, so you can collapse it and then you can expand whichever the one that you want to see. Okay, and then of course you can expand further to export all of that. You can search for the role across. Let's say I'm searching for Florida, so it shows Florida is part of the South and East America, the North America, and then the company that belongs, the roles up to this particular company. Okay, so see the whole hierarchy. Also, as you scroll, we actually keep the hierarchy, the parent in view, so that you get an idea. Typically, it rolls off, but here you can see that this rolls up here and it shows. And by looking at the number, you can see that some of the roles are hidden behind. These two are shown because they're really a parent of SVP, customer service, and the support. Okay. You can filter some columns. So we show quite a few other columns: opportunity access, contact, case access, the modified by ID and other details. So you can filter for them. For example, let's say I want to see when this particular modified, who modified and when it was modified. So you can see all of that information here. It shows up here. You can add multiple columns, of course. Let's say I want to see the access. So it shows the access and as well as the modified information. Similarly, when you're exploring the users, and then you can search for a particular user. Let's say, assume that we had 100 users. I want to see if Mary is part of this, and then so that it will show up there. Okay. Anytime you can refresh the roles. For example, you can click on it, so that gets the fresh data from the surveys. So if let's say if somebody else modified something on the UI, you want to bring it up here, you can click on that. So note that anytime you come to this particular module, this data is not cached, so we load that fresh at the time. So however, you would need to refresh if you have made some changes in the UI, Salesforce UI, after you have opened this particular module. In that case, you wouldn't know that particular update. So if you click on it, you should get the updates. Okay. So now going to how to manage roles. So adding roles, you can click on this to create a new role, or you can right click, okay, and then say add role. So whichever the role that you have selected, that becomes a parent role to add a new role. For example, let's say under CEO, let's say we want to add CSO, Chief Sales Officer. So I can click on here. Let's say I can enter CSO. Okay, in there under company CEO, you can see that it is a parent role. You can click on the name, developer name, you can report label, and then you can adjust the report access, okay, what they want to have, and then you can click on save. Okay, so now we can see that the CFO has been added here, okay, and then that is under CEO. Okay, you can also add multiple roles at the same time. So for example, so let's say we want to add okay, so we have East Coast, South, and the West Coast. So let's say for West Coast, we want to introduce some states within that, multiple of them. So let's say I can go and add that. So North America is part of the company. Okay, so and then so we have West Coast, and then let's introduce some states within the West Coast. Let's say multiple North America. So now I can, because I selected North America, so I have to enter from North America. Assume that I had selected West Coast, then I would have to enter just the state names. And if I had selected a company, then of course then I would have to enter from North America. So let's say I want North America, and then West Coast. Let's say we want to copy this because we want to do multiple. California. Okay, so on. Okay, so we're adding 3 different states under West Coast, and we are entering, in a format that we call path segments, role segments. So this is the parent, and then the West Coast, and then California. So remember, this path segment is in relation to the current parent role. So because the company is at least the parent role, the topmost parent role that you can select. So you really don't have to enter the company. You can just enter this one. Assume that you had selected North America as a parent role, then you wouldn't have to enter North America. You can just enter West Coast. Because in this case, I have selected company, so then I have to enter North America, West Coast. And I can select opportunity access or case access and contact access if applicable. And they are shown, based on the context of your arc-wide default. So they can go and save it. So remember, for each under this company, it look for a role with the same name, and if there is, it wouldn't add one. It will just use that particular role. Okay, but if it is not there, it will create it. Okay, so now I can go and enter, save. So it has created. You can see that East America, East Coast, South, West Coast, California, Oregon, and Washington. If you refresh one more time, so you would see the same information here. Okay, so this is a powerful way to create your role hierarchy without having to click 150,000 times to add the hierarchy, and not talking about being error prone. Okay, so notice that when you enter multiple roles, you don't have an opportunity to set the developer name of that particular role. We just assume something, we just create based on the label. But if you want to change it, of course, you can edit individual role, and then after that you can go and save it. Okay, so it looks like we had a California here. I think I had trying to move around, so it was there, so it just incremented the number here. Okay, so that is adding roles and then adding multiple roles. Next up, we can edit the role. Of course, you can right click and say click any one of them. You can edit a single role at a time and edit role. You can change some information, and also you can double click. It's just easier. So then it pops up the dialog, and then you would be able to edit it. Next step, we can move roles. That is another organization of the roles, right? You want to move around. So there are multiple ways that we can move the roles in Brobench. So first you can select one or more rules. For example, let's say I select California and the Oregon. Select roles to move, and then you can right click wherever that you want to move. For example, let's say I want to move here. Right click and say move two roles here. Then it will prompt you to confirm and say, hey, move the following roles to be child of West Coast, California and Oregon. Say yes, move, and then it will move those two roles from here to here. And keep in mind that once the roles have been reorganized or moved, the count is updated accordingly to reflect new per the new hierarchy. So that's the one way. The second way is that you can drag and drop. So for example, let's say you can select this. You see this, the handle. You can click on this. You can click on hold, and then you can drag wherever that you wanna move in. For example, let's say I want to temporarily move it under East Coast. You can click on move, so it will be moved there. And then in the same way, you can move Oregon. It will move there, and then you can move it back. So keep in mind that you can move only one role at a time using that drag handle. So if you have a multiple, then selecting and then moving via this menu may be easier for you. Okay. Next step, deleting the roles. We talked about the deleting, the adding, editing, and all that, and you can delete as well. So to delete, you can click one or more roles. For example, let's say I want to delete these two. And then you can select delete roles. So when that happens, it actually shows you the confirmation that how many actual roles will be deleted. Remember, if you're deleting a parent, all the subordinates of that particular role is also deleted. So if you don't want to delete the subordinates of that particular role, make sure that you move the roles away to some other node, and then after that you can delete them. So it does show that and say, hey, delete the selected two roles, whatever that you have selected, and its descendants. Okay, in total 7 roles. Okay, in this case the 7 roles will be deleted because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 roles. So 3 and 2 plus 2 themselves. Okay, so you can and remember, all the users that are assigned to that will be unassigned. So that also happens behind the scene when you delete. So keep that in mind when you're deleting a particular role. Okay. So this is about how to manage the role and the role hierarchy. Next step, how we can manage assignments. So as we mentioned that when you click on a particular role, okay, so the list of currently assigned users will show up here. If you have made changes in the UI, of course, you can click here to refresh that particular view. You can click on this plus icon to bring up an assignment screen. So when you bring up the assignment screen, by default, we show all unassigned internal active users, okay, and show up here. So you can, just double click on them and then you can select them. So let's go to unassigned first so that we'll have a few more users that we will have. Okay, for example, in this case, I'm going to just go unassign them. Okay, and then let's say I want to assign to customer support North America. Go here. In this case, it shows 3 unassigned users. You can double click on it to select that particular user, or you can highlight multiple like this, and then you can right click and say select users, and that will select all the highlighted users. If you want to search, of course, you can use this search. Okay, or if you want to search both assigned as well as unassigned, you can uncheck this checkbox. In that case, we're going to show all the unassigned, already assigned users as well. So when you click on it, so here it shows that which user that is, okay, and then which role they're part of, so that you can see that if they have a particular role. You can go and click on assign users, so it will make all the necessary changes. And because in this case we have selected a user from other roles, it shows this particular dialog and say yes, we intend to move some of the assigned users here. So if you continue, it made all the changes, and then remember it updated this, and then if you go and refresh one more time, so you would see that particular count here. Okay, if you click here, and it sees all the users that are assigned. Of course, we talked about how to remove a particular user. So you can select one or more users. You can right click and say remove users, or also you can click on this the icon to delete them. You can also move around the users. For example, let's say I want to move these 2 users into a different role. You can select the users that you want to move, and then you go to whichever the role that you want and say move 2 users here, and up will ask you for confirmation, and once you confirm, it will move those users and refresh the hierarchy. Okay. So we talked about how to manage the roles, how to manage the user assignments, how to assign and unassign and all that. So the last aspect of the hierarchy is how do you export this information so that you can share with the other team members or use it for your backup or documentation purpose, what have you. So we have built the mechanism to export that particular hierarchy. For example, you can go here and you can say copy hierarchy as tree or a hierarchy as segments. We'll show you an example how that looks. Or you can also click on the export hierarchy as a tree or export hierarchy as segments. So that will actually download the text content as a text file. So that example looks like that, when you export as a tree or a hierarchy. So you can go here, export hierarchy. So when you export as a tree output, it looks like this. When you export as a segments, it looks like that. So basically it puts the slash for each role. So you can take this actually, go back to your role, add multiple roles, and then I can add the whole hierarchy, recreate the whole hierarchy easily. And this can be great to visualize what the hierarchy of your the role is. Okay. If you want to export the list of the role themselves, you can right click and use the grid export. In this case, let's say I want to copy all the 35 roles as a CSV. You can see that how they get copied. So they copy this role users, hierarchy users, and then as well as the API access and all that information. Okay, so keep in mind in this case we copy this root company, so that is not really the actual the role. Okay. So this is about role management. I hope it brings some capabilities and adds some productivity when it comes to visualizing, managing, and assigning and unassigning users from the roles. Thank you.